Assignment 1, Unit 2, Acute Responses to Exercise by Amy Rocket. The musculoskeletal response to acute exercise includes increased blood supply, increase in muscle pliability, increased range of movement, and muscle fibre micro-tears. Increased blood supply. The short-term effects of increased blood supply means that the muscles contract and cause an increased temperature in the muscle. This is increased blood supply because the blood vessels in our muscles dilate. ATP is the way our bodies use biochemical to use and store energy. ATP gets used in our working muscles, which then produces metabolic byproducts such as carbon dioxide and adenosine. Thin-walled blood vessels, called capillaries, are formed to dilate or expand within the muscle when these byproducts leave the muscle cells. This is called vasodilation. Some people may start to see their veins becoming more visible in their body as the capillaries dilate. It allows more oxygenated blood to deliver to the working muscles, which allows a better blood supply, whilst the heart is working on getting more oxygen to the working muscles. There is less blood being transported to the organs that require less oxygen, such as the kidney. Increase in muscle pliability. Having more pliability in your muscles suggests that they are more movable and flexible, meaning that you can adjust them easier. The muscles become more pliable when you are exercising because your body heat rises, meaning your muscles become warmer. During exercise, our muscles contain lactic acid. However, the lactic acid clears up when the muscles are being adjusted. By the lactic acid being removed, this allows the muscles to be more pliable and have greater movement. When our muscles are more pliable, it reduces the risk of injury and strains. Our bodies will allow our muscles to move quicker and at greater abilities if they are warm and pliable. However, if an injury is bad, you can still injure yourself, but it is more likely for you to pull a muscle rather than completely tear it. Increased range of movement. When exercising, the movement within a joint stimulates the secretion of synovial fluid. The increased movement makes the synovial fluid become less viscous, making the movement around a joint greater. This synovial fluid lubricates the joints, which makes them suppler. Most exercises also increase the range of movement as our muscles become warm, more pliable, and also stretched out. When taking part in physical activity, it is important to always start off with a warm-up. This will get your muscles to warm and stretch out, which will decrease the risk of getting injured. If you don't warm up, you are at a greater risk of pulling or tearing muscles. Muscle fibre micro-tears. When we exercise, our muscles are out under stress to the point that small tears can occur within the muscle fibres. The tears cause swelling within the muscular tissue, which places pressure on the nerve ending, causing pain and discomfort. You may start to feel aching in your muscles after you exercise, or maybe even during the exercise, depending on the duration and intensity. When we rest after exercise, this is the time for our body to repair itself. When our body heals, it can result in extra strength and also muscle mass gain. Proteins are the best food group to eat after exercise, as it helps to repair any damaged muscles and gets them back healthy and strong. Energy systems response to acute exercise include phosphocreatine, lactic acid, aerobic, energy continuum, and requirements of different sport and exercise activities. Phosphocreatine. This energy system is also known as the ATP-PC system. It is also the immediate energy system. Creatine phosphate is a high-energy compound and is stored in the muscles until it is broken down to provide energy to make ATP, usually when doing high-intensity exercise. ATP is resynthesized when the bonding creatine phosphate is broken. This energy system also allows around 10 seconds of high-intensity exercise, as the supply of creatine phosphate is limited. Lactic acid. This is a short-term energy system and is used in events such as the 400-metre run. ATP can be made by the breakdown of glucose and glycogen. This is an aerobic process, meaning it can be used in events which don't include oxygen. Therefore, this system isn't for long endurances. At maximal effort, the system can usually last for around 60 to 90 seconds. Aerobic. This is a long-term energy system and happens in the mitochondria of the cells. Mitochondria are the power stations in the cells as they convert the food that is digested into energy for a person to use. The heart takes a few minutes to deliver the oxygenated blood to the working muscles, suggesting long, continuous and moderate pace exercises are best suited to this energy system. Energy continuum. The way your body generates your intake of food and drink will determine how long you can exercise for and at what intensity. For this energy transfer, thousands of chemical reactions are responsible. ATP allows our bodies to maintain a continuous supply of energy so that we don't run out of energy for our everyday physical demands, such as walking up the stairs. Requirements for different sport and exercise activities. At any given time, all three energy systems are active. However, depending on the duration and intensity of the exercise, one energy system will take the primary lead. For example, the phosphocreatine energy system is best suited for events such as weightlifting or 100-metre sprint, as they only require a short duration of around 8 to 10 seconds at maximum intensity. However, the lactic acid system starts to work when the endurance gets longer, such as the 200 or 400 metre run. Finally, the aerobic system starts to work when the exercise is a long endurance, such as the marathon. Cardiovascular system's response to acute exercise includes the heart rate anticipatory response, activity response, increased blood pressure, vasoconstriction and vasodilation. Heart rate anticipatory response. Your heart rate usually increases above resting levels before the start of exercise. This is because the nerves that directly supply the heart and chemicals in the blood can rapidly alter the heart rate. A healthy person's resting heart rate is around 6 to 80 beats per minute compared to an elite athlete such as Mo Farah, who is an endurance runner, which has been recorded to have 28 to 40 beats per minute. They have a lower resting heart rate because of how healthy and fit they are. Activity response. Nerve centres in your brain detect cardiovascular activity at the start of exercise or even slightly before. This results in adjustments that increase the rate and pumping strength of the heart. Depending on the intensity of the exercise undertaken, the blood flow is altered in proportion. As the heart is pumping faster, more blood is being transported around the body, carrying oxygen to all the working muscles. Some parts of the body will be working harder than others, suggesting that they will need more blood. For example, in a marathon, more blood will be needed in the legs than in the arms because the legs are what is keeping the athlete going. Increased blood pressure. During aerobic exercise, oxygen consumption and heart rate increase depends on the intensity of the exercise. Systolic blood pressure rises progressively, whereas diastolic blood pressure stays the same or decreases slightly. The blood flow to your working muscles increases, as well as the pulse rate. Both heart rate and blood pressure increases during exercise, but the mechanisms in your body help to control these and bring them down to when they begin to get too high. Pulse rate also increases as it tries to get the right amount of blood flow to your working muscles quicker, so they are getting enough oxygen, which is needed. Vasoconstriction. When our body temperature is too low, an impulse is sent to cause blood vessels supplying the capillaries in the skin to contract. This is called vasoconstriction, and it reduces the blood flow in the surface tissue under the skin. As a result of this, less heat is lost. Blood supply can be temporarily lessened as vessels can shut down the blood flow to tissues. This involves in a decrease in size of the blood vessel, resulting in a decreased amount of blood flow to the working muscles. Vasodilation. When our body temperature is too high, an impulse is sent to cause blood vessels supplying the capillaries in the skin to dilate. This is called vasodilation. When the blood flow is increased to the surface of the tissues under the skin, more heat is lost. Through the dilation of arterioles, the diameter of the blood vessels increase, resulting in an increased blood flow to the working muscles. Also, the surface under the skin loses the heat travelling through, so it can be released, which causes the body to stay hot. Respiratory system's responses to acute exercise includes increase in breathing rate and increased tidal volume. Increase in breathing rate. Increased breathing rate is due to the muscles demanding more oxygen in order to keep going, and our heart starts to pump faster and deeper in order for an increase in carbon dioxide levels, and so the heart can circulate the blood in the correct proportions. When we are exercising, our receptors in our muscles and joints send signals to our brain in order to increase breathing rate. Breathing rate will continue to rise during exercise until a person has reached their peak and is exhausted. Our breathing rate is controlled by our brain and involves two different actions, inspiration and expiration. Neural and chemical factors control breathing in the human body, and stretch receptors in the lungs detect an increase of rate and depth of breathing. The brain receives signals which control our breathing, which includes the diaphragm and intercostal muscles. Increased tidal volume. When we exercise, our tidal volume increases to allow more air to pass through the lungs. Also, oxygen is depleted from the body, triggering an increase in tidal volume. This happens in both aerobic and anaerobic exercise. Tidal volume is the volume of air inspired or expired per breath, approximately 500 millilitres at rest. Our tidal volume increases during exercise as our requirements for oxygen become greater, so the more oxygen we have means that we can carry on for longer. However, depending on the type of exercise, our tidal volume increases. Our tidal volume increases in different ways, so the increased oxygen supply is effective.